Okay, so August was my treatment, and it is considered the first, basically the beginning of the beekeeping year. And we started by making sure that the girls are gonna be healthy. And so right now, what I've been doing this week in the yard is basically I'm checking how are they doing after the treatment. So in the next week or two, I'm gonna be removing the apivore strips. And so I've been checking how they are because the storms that happened about a month ago, they created a mini flow. So basically, we're having a spring right now. Some parts of Texas, I hear they still going strong. I think it is a really slowing down right now where I am. And so I brought 2 quarts of 1.3 to the girls. I've been experimenting with the 1113 using Thymol syrup. It's a Thymol solution instead of the Honeybee Healthy. I think that it was a little bit too strong on the other side of the Thymol, so it was not the Honeybee Healthy, which is attractant, but too much of the Thymol, which is basically a deterrent. And so on the second try, I, instead of using the 2 milliliters of Thymol, I use 30 milliliters of Honeybee Healthy and 1 milliliter of Thymol. Now today I just did something a little bit different. So because the Thymol, I use alcohol to dilute the Thymol, right? And bees can tolerate alcohol in small quantities. That's not an issue. But then one of the viewers pointed on the Thymol video that alcohol evaporates at 172 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a pretty good piece of information. I knew it evaporated quicker than water. And so what I did today was using the second concoction that I did, the 1-1. So for this one, I did 1-to-1 because I want the girls to draw some cone. So what I did is I added the 30 mLs of Honeybee Healthy, 1 ml of Thymol solution, but I heated about a cup of that. So I got a cup of syrup. I used the Honeybee Healthy and the Thymol on that one, and I heated that cup to 172 degrees. So what that does is the alcohol, it already evaporates, and so the Thymol is already in the syrup with the Honeybee Healthy without alcohol. So the smell is gone. It always has a very tiny little smell of Honeybee Healthy, which is what I want to entice the girls. And the Thymol is already there. So let's see how that works. This is a bee weaver. That girl over there is also a bee weaver. This is one of my strongest, better colonies that I have here in this yard. And so they don't have a feeder. I've been feeding the other girls. This I haven't fed, and it's not like they need to. So what I do with the strongest colonies is, you can see some of the colonies have an extra super in them, and those are the ones that I'm feeding 1-to-1 because I want those girls to draw some comb. That's it. I'm out of a drawn comb. So the strongest colonies that still have still producing honey, bringing nectar. Hopefully we have a nice strong fall flow, and the idea is to use the stronger hives to produce more comb and more honey. So when November comes and I basically condense all the brood down to a single box, and to overwinter, my setup is a single box of brood and a full medium of honey. That will take them through Texas winter, and they will actually still have some a few frames of honey by February, which is what I want. Now, one of the things that bee weavers is they have a little bit of a temper, so I usually leave them to the end. They're pretty calm right now. They're not even coming at me, so pretty much all the foragers are out. When I was setting the camera right there by the entrance, I have a couple that were actually saying hello to me, but for the moment they're behaving pretty nicely. I see 1, 2, 3 high beetles. To these girls, I haven't even put the oh, more high beetles. 6, 7. So I haven't put the the peppermint candy on these girls because the temperament keeps the beetle much at bay. But in the colonies that don't have peppermint, I seen that I can find up to a dozen of small high beetles walking around, and the ones that do have the peppermint, I can only find about a couple, 2, 3, maybe tops. So what I'm doing here is I put this about a month ago when the mini flu began. They're pretty much all empty except for 1 and 2 that I put a couple of frames that had a little bit of wax. And for the people who have had some issues with wax moth before, this, for example, is a frame that had a wax moth before, and as you can see, I scraped the parts that were damaged with the wax moth, like this part right here, and this bottom part right here. High beetle, eliminate with extreme prejudice. Yes, die. Okay, so the parts that I scraped, the girls are already repaired. They cleaned it out really nice. So when you have damage with wax moth, you don't necessarily have to get rid of all the wax. If it is mild, you just freeze it by a couple of days, and the girls will clean it up. The girls will clean it up and take care of that. They will fix it. So what am I doing right now? So out of these 10 frames, only these 2 have partial wax, and the girls are already on it. So I got a couple of more frames that already have waxed, and I got them from right there all the way in the back. The small A frame is truly VHS, 100% VHS Carniolan Queen, and she has the full super race with drone comb, but she was already shutting down when after summer, when the dirt hit. She already scaled back, really scaled back. Now the other thing with I'm gonna do a video of talking about queens and treatments and the various types of queens that I'm raising here and working with, because they're very peculiar, very particular. There is a couple of Ibero, very peculiar, very particular behaviors. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and I'm gonna put 3 frames with drone comb, because this girl, when I checked her last, she had about 8, almost 9 frames of brood. 6 on top, 3 on the bottom box. And so this girl is really, 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 really good. Very prolific queen. And so I'm gonna place a feeder because they don't have it, and they're doing really well without it. And I have now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames of drone comb, and I want them to really draw these other 5. So we'll have a complete box, hopefully, when we reach November. All right, so I'll organize that later. I'm just going to make room, making sure I don't see the queen. This queen is escape artist, and I don't want to spend too much time looking for her, because this is not the time to make a mistake and probably kill a queen just to satisfy my wishes to see her and say hello. So this is a perfect frame to donate. It has a few eggs, few larvae, but mostly is a calf brood, which is what I want to give. Now, so this is a bee weaver, known for the mite tolerance, and as you can see here, they're displaying that VSH trait, which is uncapping the ones that they smell they have an issue. So this is a good frame to donate. I'm taking 2 frames, one with honey and one with a little bit of brood, because right now that pure VSH is the one colony here that it has the least amount of bees. And although I'm not going to completely equalize the whole yard right now, I don't want to have a colony that is too much weaker than the other ones. Sorry, princess, can you move, please? Okay, so these girls are behaving absolutely fantastic today. They're usually a little bit more defensive. That's probably because it is early. It is 1 o'clock right now, and all the foragers are out. I have a couple of guards just saying hi, but not as aggressive as they usually are. So again, so what am I doing? I'm taking 2 frames, and in the place of those 2 frames, I'm placing a feeder. I don't want to roll any of the girls here. All right. Bee weavers are quick to respond. They're awesome, awesome, awesome bees, but definitely not to have in a backyard. I have to move these girls out. Okay, so they didn't like the feeder right now nor the vibrations, so they're already coming out to express their anger, as you can see. All right, this is the 1-to-1 with Honeybee Healthy and Thymo. And the idea of making that recipe like that is to give some feed without attracting any robber bees. I don't want any robber bees trying to get anywhere here in the yard. and at the same time being able to feed the girls. I'm gonna give them a nice, awesome, sweet banana. Right on top of the brood. And let's put this peppermint candy. Now this peppermint candy, in order for it to work, is not a peppermint candy flavor. It has to be candy with real peppermint oil in it. So you got to check in the box, in the container, that it says real peppermint oil. Also, I make sure that the frames are directly above the other frames to avoid some wacky comb. And hopefully these girls will help me draw more frames from here to November. All right. Okay. So feed is there, banana is there, peppermint candy there, checked. And so now we can close, and we'll take the extra. We'll take the 2 frames to the other hive, the VSH carniolan. Okay. All right, girls. Thank you. You're doing awesome. And you behave really, really, really nice. I really appreciate it. Pure VSH carniolan queen. And along with Matt Lance, we are observing the behavior of this queens. This is another one of his queens. Also has VSH traits, but this is a first generation open mated. And so this one, it has an average of well, almost double the brood that this one has. So this one is already on a 10 frame and already working on the medium. This one is an 8 frame with the frame feeder on the bottom, and they have a couple of frames, medium frames, that I put in there with a little bit of honey before, and they still have the same amount. So some of the frames that I put there with the drone comb is because all this were drone comb, but they haven't used it at all. Okay, so this is one of those frames that I use a half foundation and the other one empty, and they use it to, usually they raise drone brood, and when they're not, they fill it up with honey. But as you can see, it's not a crazy amount of bees. I'm gonna leave this one open for a bit. Whatever foragers are here, they'll go back to their hive. The rest is gonna be nurses bees, which is what I want here too. Alright, so yes, these girls do drown a lot. And you can see high beetle larvae right there along with the dead bodies. So I don't want that. And so because these girls are prone to drowning, I'm gonna use this top feeder. And they're still pretty much all the syrup that I gave them last week is still there. Always check the bottom. The bottom always tells good tails. I can see a small high beetle larvae, one scurrying away down on the bottom. Not much else. So let's put this back in here. Okay, she stung me, but you know, she's rolling around. So she doesn't want to die. She's trying to roll around, trying to disengage herself, not to break away and leave her guts there. Okay, she did it. So I startled her and she put the sting, but she immediately regretted. So what she does, she starts going around and around trying to uncork herself from my skin. Done. She did a good job. She's out. My intention is to find out where the brood begins, which is right here. Very light, so it should be mostly brood. Okay, this is emerging brood, which has been immediately backfilled with nectar. And here we have emerging brood. Some backfill, some the queen managed to lay some eggs before they backfilled it. So I see larvae that is at least 4 or 5 days. Very young larvae. I'm trying to find eggs. Yes, there's a couple of eggs. Yes, eggs here on the top. Perfect. Just check in that my other queen is not here again. I don't want to make such a catastrophe happen. There's some drone brood, not brood, drones here eating away. Hopefully these girls will kick them out because they don't have much resources to keep those guys. Yeah, no queen here. I hope so. You see, this is the Swiffer sheet. It has a lot of high beetles in it. It works, but also, you know, over time the girls start propolizing it, and so this is when you know that you have to change it. But you know, I just ran out of them. All right, I'm not gonna look for the queen. I already saw very young brood and a couple of eggs, so I'm done. I'm not gonna risk rolling the queen or anything like that. I put them around the edges. Just not much population, and the honey's here, so that's where I'm gonna put them. But by far this is the weakest hive I have here. I work with painter's tape because some of the boxes don't close properly and they leave crevices where the small hive beetle can just crawl inside like it's their home. And these girls don't have a very strong population to prevent or hurt those hive beetles to corners or propolize them or anything. So I use this pain on the neck tape. It is a pain on the neck because when the next inspection you have to remove it, but for me it's a necessary headache. And in winter it's mostly to prevent some heat loss minimum, but more like protected from the wind. So it's wind protected, and if the girls cannot go out and procure some propolis, then at least this can help a little bit. right? These girls are ready. And this is what I'm talking about when you use cheap boxes on good deals and you have all those gaps, and so bees have to properlize and stand guard. So that's why I used the painter's tape. Okay, so the yard is ready. The full preparations have been done, and by full preparations I mean trading, checking and trading for mites. All of them already have their adecuate treatment underway. They are all brooding. They have brood, all of them. And basically what we're looking right now is to make sure that they build up for fall. I minimize the entrances for small hive beetles. I added room for the extreme performers. I keep checking and comparing solid bottom boards with no upper ventilation to solid bottom boards with upper ventilation. With screen bottom boards with no upper ventilation, like this two right here. And the Russians and the ones for the cold climate, this one has a screen bottom that is closed and a ventilation shim right there. This is a very nice performer. This is a Caucasian. I just added an extra super. This one was full, so I checkerboarded these two mediums. So that will give them space. The checkerboarding is a swarm prevention technique. And I also use it so they go all around the two frames doing their thing and putting nectar. So that's good. Activity in all entrances seems okay. I already feed them 2 quarts of 113 to keep them going, and 1 to 1 to those that I need to draw comb.